And welcome back to Citizen Extra. Our eyes are at the Supreme Court, where we understand NASA presidential candidate Raila Odinga is now in court, of course, waiting on the bench to take position. There he is, flanked by, of course, the man who deputized him, co-principal Kalonzo Musyoka. And even as they go around greeting judges, of course, it is anxious moments across the country, as we've heard from our reporters, as the Republic waits to hear this full judgment and the reasoning that led 4 judges to conclude that President Uhuru Kenyatta's election ought to be cancelled, that it was, procured in a manner that was improper in as far as the process is concerned. Ekuru Aukot was also a presidential candidate in that election. We've also seen him. He is also at the court. And in studio, I am joined with lawyers giving us analysis on this, even as we await the bench to assume position and read out this full judgment. And Isaac, let me come to you just for a quick rejoinder from where we heard Kibe Mungai talking about, this political capital that Jubilee is looking to spend in as far as asking for ballot boxes to be opened. Yet here we are before a Supreme Court that has already concluded that we must go back to another presidential election. Of what value is such an argument on a day like today? We've heard it advanced even as late as yesterday by Jubilee supporters and Jubilee leaders. Yet, a court has already determined that we must return to an election.
Yes, I think, and this during the break, my brother Kibe was able to concede quite properly that it has no legal value. When the Supreme Court pronounced itself on the 1st of September, they made very clear that the election is a process, and it is a process. It starts from the moment the first vote is cast, and it is concluded after transmission of the results, tallying, and the declaration of the winner. So you cannot take one component of it and say this is okay, and therefore let us relook at this process again. So when the judges have found or indicted the entire process and ordered that the country must go back to election of the president, then we must commence that process afresh. And that's where we are now.
And perhaps it's insulation for uncharted territory, as has been argued also off air, if we go past the 60 days, which I suppose everybody hopes will not happen. But Steve, let me come to you. This, as we await the bench to take position, it is one that has been, basically under siege in the last few weeks. Yesterday, we saw the bench try to fight back through a press conference by the Supreme Court chairperson and, of course, the JSC as well, saying that, the court is not going to be intimidated or interfered with, etc. What are your expectations as they sit today to read out this judgment in terms of just the demeanor and the conduct of the court? You'll remember during the submissions, it was a very pleasant process by and large. There were chuckles in the courtroom, etc. But now it has become quite, bare-knuckled. What should we be expecting to hear, and what would your own hopes be in terms of the demeanor of the court today?
Well, I think we can expect, just like last time, the Chief Justice to open with another preambular quote, reassuring, first of all, there are 2 critical constituencies needs to reassure. One is the judicial officers across the country that, listen, you can proceed and make determination on those election petitions and do not be intimidated. I think that statement came out yesterday. But also to the general public that the judiciary is independent. And I think in terms of animating its own independence, I think it's a win for this country. Remember, before the